Welcome to the 6th episode. I'm David, and this is David Talks.
I'm David, and I'm on David Talks.
Nice. All right, let's get into it. Are we going into diaper awards?
Yeah.
Pamper awards. Okay, so my pamper award goes out to all those people that have dogs and don't clean after them. They don't curb their dog. They just let them, and they just keep walking. Kind of sometimes they look at you like you're crazy, and I'm looking at them like I'm speaking to you with my eyes. You don't want to get into a big issue over someone's dog without them, being responsible, I would say, and cleaning up their shit off the ground. I would appreciate it. Not to mention, yes, it's a natural thing, but you should definitely clean up. It's not the same exact thing, but it's like a regular human just taking a shit in the street, and everybody got to smell it. So
No, that's disgusting.
I mean, like, seriously, my thing is,
They have blocks full of shit. There's like dogs that they bring them to specific blocks because that's where they go. That's crazy. People gotta live in these conditions. It's horrible and unthoughtful.
I know in Manhattan, people, and thank you for people that they like set little bags or fences all around the city for people to clean up after their dogs because they might use excuses like, oh, I can't afford it or whatever. It's the bag you take when you go grocery shopping. Take those bags, store them up, and it's simple. You pick up your dog's shit off the ground, please, and you just toss it in the trash can. There's usually one always nearby.
I think people don't take accountability for the stuff they do, and a lot of responsibilities when they take on certain things like having a dog. And then when something happens to their dogs or their dogs go missing, it's like the worst thing in the world. I don't know. To me, it shows how important your dog is if you're taking care of it and looking after it. Because anything could happen. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. That's pretty irresponsible. And some people say that their dogs are their babies and stuff like that. It's like, once you clean after your baby, if you, like you said, shit on the floor.
Exactly.
And how many diapers are you giving them?
I'm gonna give them 5 diapers, and only because that's the highest number. But I think that the fine should be greater, and I think a part of the fine, I don't really mean it seriously, but I wish you can literally just stand in the same room with your own dog shit for like 5 minutes. Because honestly, I mean, you got children playing in the parks. They usually have their dogs in the parks right next to the entrance where children gotta, and children are like always running, they're not thinking, and they step in shit. It's unfair, okay? So I think there should be some hefty fines, though. I really do. I think that if you're not responsible enough to just clean up the dog shit, I feel you should probably not own a dog.
Or have them shit in their own house.
Well, some people
Have the
probably
diapers.
do. Oh yeah,
Like, give dog diapers.
dog diapers shit.
So they get the 5 dog diaper award.
What would you give it?
Damn, man, the shit problem's a thing. I give it like 2 diapers.
You see,
I'm the lenient one.
he's very lenient. I think that people should be fined $500 if you're caught not cleaning up after your dog. Okay? And they say dog's the man's best friend. I've heard that so many times. So take care of your best friend, bro, or lady, or whomever.
I got it like the award.
What you got?
I got all those people that went to Area 51 trying to storm it for that event and shit.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily every single one of them, because I believe a lot of people went for the meme and went for the experience of a party or something, some kind of. But people literally did try to storm it and cross lines that they weren't supposed to. It wasn't a turnout as what they thought it would be,
Okay.
but a significant amount of people showed up.
What was? I mean, I'm familiar with Area 51, but what was
Right.
the event that was going on?
Well, Area 51 became a meme thing when a guy kind of orchestrated an event on Facebook. Like, we got to get these aliens or whatever, and then they actually caught fire, and it was like a big thing. Everybody was getting into it. News outlets were talking about it, magazines, and it was all over social media. So they were like, yo, we're gonna do an event. Everybody's gonna make an organized run for Area 51. It became a meme, but it became an event big enough for like thousands of people to show up. Wow. People are actually getting arrested though, and those are the ones that get the diaper awards.
What were they
people
doing?
encouraging, trying to storm it, trying to run in,
Oh my God.
crossing lines and stuff like that, breaking the law. And I feel like some of those people be the same ones saying, "Don't break the law" in other aspects of life. You know, I feel like there are, for me though, the reason why they get the diaper awards is there are other causes and marches and protests they could have went to besides some Area 51 bullshit, but
Well,
they
at
all get
least
the diaper awards for that.
I'm here in a way. I'm hearing good news because nobody was killed.
Exactly, and legally, I think they could kill them for trespassing. So,
I mean, you
now
gotta
we
be
know
careful.
that nobody was killed. But
Well,
yeah,
I know a lot of.
two arrests so far. I don't know.
I mean, there are a lot of people that do believe in aliens, and I guess they want to try to figure out how to get to the bottom of it by kind of storming in and being radical about it.
And yeah, I mean, I don't care how many people try to storm Area 51. Nobody's getting through. They could come with weapons, trucks, and all that. I think they have measures for those type of things. They have measures for people who don't even plan it ahead of time.
Got it.
So I really do believe it's a meme, but there are people who take that shit very serious.
Yeah.
And some people that can't tell the difference. They don't really know social media yet.
Right.
And I don't know, that could be dangerous because somebody could get killed, you know what I'm saying?
Guys, be careful. Okay. I know that people feel really strong and passionate about their beliefs. Please be careful. Take precaution. And there's legal ways to do things. By the
There's
way.
actually other ways they could go about it.
Right.
They could go to try to get legislation done, go to their local representative and try to do things the right way. It probably won't work, 'cause, you know what I mean?
It may not work. I mean,
But
I
it's
guess
better than occupying an area that's not even.
Well, the thing
legal
is,
to
I
be-
mean, I get it. Like, but just please, is it worth your life? Some things are, right? Depending on your perspective, like defending your family or, things of that nature, or even a stranger. Somebody could, like, a child might walk into the street and you see a car coming, and, instincts take over, and you're like, you don't want to see that baby, hurt or worse. So,
Do you think people are like taking less value in their lives and stuff like that, or even with their time? Like that's a lot to go to Nevada and go in the desert to occupy something. You don't think that their time could be used for other things? Like, do you think that like social media in itself creates that lifestyle of we're gonna control what you do, what's in, what's happening now? And we could suggest a few things for you to do a funny meme, and you actually you risk your life and spend your time doing it. You think social media has grown that kind of power over people, other than wasting their lives on their phones, type stuff?
Well, yes, social media is now a major part of our lives, and some people's instincts are going to take over as soon as I said that. Their instincts are going to say, absolutely not. Because it is very scary, but these are facts. If you're on Facebook, that means social media has a very powerful impact on your life. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Snapchat, if you're online, you have commercials. So if you're trying to do a resume, a commercial's popping up somewhere. To get to it, to go, something's happening where you're going to visually see something. And our eyes are one of the most powerful tools to our brain, to our thoughts. What we see is what we get almost. So our phones are always in our faces. If you're not on your phone, you're on someone else's phone because somebody got a phone and you're looking at it.
Right.
So I would definitely say that social media has a major impact on our lives. In a way, I believe that we might need to take classes on just that alone in school about how to
manage your time on it.
Absolutely.
Right. Do you think it's like gonna be eventually get to the point where it's classified as an addiction and handled as such, like alcohol or drugs or cigarettes? Because if you think about it, people that use social media, I believe they use it daily, right? It's become so much of their life. Or do you think it's already past that and it's just a part of life that's almost as important as, eating or working? Do you think it could actually be taken out of society to that level where it's recreational again? 'Cause I don't think it's recreational or anything less than that. I think it's literally essential to most people's lives. And they need to function. If they going through the day, they have to go through social media to function. Even to have conversations, and even in this, we use social media to get a lot of information, but we're not using it as gold, like as fact. We're saying our opinions of what's going on. Other people use things they see on social media that's spread around or hot topic as word, as law. So, do you think it's even possible for us as a society to take that aspect of social media out?
Well, absolutely. Definitely, it's very, very possible. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, there's no more online anything.
Right.
It would certainly change the world in a certain way where there's going to be, I would say, some people that will have the advantage, and they won't actually ever let go of social media and only use it to their advantage to influence the masses. I believe that it's certainly possible, and I definitely don't want to get away from the question you have, but I also just want to add how different social media is. Just imagine Dennis Rodman for the Chicago Bulls. He was known for his rebounds, very aggressive player, very out there, the way the color of his hair, the way he dressed, the body piercings, tattoos, etc. He was at one point more famous than Michael Jordan because of his, I would say his lifestyle. Michael Jordan was super, super big, and he's much bigger than Dennis Rodman, and I'm sure he will always be to this day. But for a moment, he took the spotlight. Just imagine if Instagram was out then.
Right. That's the debate now. They're saying if Michael Jordan had social media, nobody else would have came close to his legacy.
Well, that's very true. If Michael Jordan, oh my God, can you imagine? Michael Jordan, and I said this before, I said second to Jesus, Michael Jackson is the most known person in the world. Michael Jordan is number 3, I would say.
Right.
And he's,
all right, so
that could even change. And that could even change.
We'll talk about all 3 Michaels then. So Mike Tyson, right? And they were talking about who's the best boxer in history. I think even Joe Rogan mentioned who he thinks his the best boxer in history to him is. They had a whole topic on that. Do you think like Mike Tyson? So I could go more into that, for example. You think he would have been bigger, took over as the best boxer
Wow.
if social media was around at that time?
Wow.
Like clips of him knocking people out were
Wow.
more accessible and more in the now.
I would say definitely.
Because
I would say definitely, and it's not really fair to Muhammad Ali, by the way.
I mean, that's an argument within itself. Some people say that Muhammad Ali, some people say he's the best. Some people say Muhammad Ali sold his persona, and people paid attention to him more. And he had his own controversial style of boxing. It wasn't as good as people perceived him to be. There's a big argument on that. Do you think that social media would show more of the bad or controversial side of Muhammad Ali and have people more on against him being the greatest of all time boxer?
Well, that's a very good question. So Muhammad Ali, and in case people don't know this, his birth name was Cassius Clay, and he changed his name to Muhammad Ali. But he also had a lot of resistance. I don't know if I would say publicly or the government, military. I don't know who had the deciding factor on sending him to jail because he didn't want to go to war and fight against other countries. And that took a huge toll on his career as a boxer. That could have went either way. I believe if he would have already had fans, which clearly he does to this very day, probably the best fighter of all time could be Tyson. That's a major debate. It's really hard to tell.
Okay, so Joe Rogan said he believes Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer of all time. What do you think?
Well, he has a point because he hasn't lost.
His thing was that his technique alone as Pretty Boy Floyd, and that was before his defensive, people say he's a runner or whatever, that his technique when he was aggressive, he was already like in a different category. But a lot of people like to take that away from him when he was Pretty Boy Floyd before he was money making Mayweather. His style changed so much. He went from offensive to defensive, and that has to do with his hands breaking and certain things like that. Do you think he mastered both sides, and he doesn't get a lot of the credit he deserves because of public perception?
Well, the public perception is most welcome because it helped his career because of the publicity. We don't want him to ever be boring. I just also want to say Muhammad Ali also had that technique, by the way. Muhammad Ali, and I definitely want to talk about Mayweather, but Muhammad Ali was so good, which Mayweather is still so good that, in my opinion, because I do boxing, I'm not a professional fighter. I definitely train children how to box, for middle schools, and because I do work for a nonprofit. We always talk about this, working for a nonprofit organization. So I have a little bit of insight on this situation. In my opinion, there's probably nobody that Floyd Mayweather's ever fight, possibly maybe two people that was even in his class. In fact, I think he could just knock him out as soon as he gets in the ring. And I also feel that way about Muhammad Ali. But if they were to knock them out, the public is going to be so like bored. And let me just throw, and I have to throw Mike Tyson in there too. Another one. He went in the ring and knocked people out, and he pissed a lot of people off. It was just that thing. If Mike Tyson would have, kind of do what Mayweather clearly does, play with them, and Muhammad Ali also played with them because it's what he did, because he wanted to give a show, he wanted to make it entertaining, he wanted people to discuss it. But come on, guys, go back.
All right, so like, all right, for example, like how I look at boxers, like Sugar and certain Roy Jones, I feel like if they change boxing in a certain way,
Yeah.
then that's the imprint they made on boxing. So
Right.
I do believe, and politically or however you want to look at Ali's impact on boxing, or the aggressiveness and the showmanship that um, Mike Tyson did adopt from Ali, but took him to the next level.
Right.
Do you think a boxer can go too far with their antics? Like Wilder, Deontay Wilder said he wants to get his first body in the ring, which I don't know if you guys might not know. It's legal if you kill someone in the ring. You're not held accountable for their life.
Right.
But he made the statement of, I want to get a body in the ring. I want him to be my first body. Meaning, he wanted to hit him so hard that he died in the ring. Do you think, and a lot of people was upset with that, but some people defended it, like he's a boxer. That's the state of mind he has to get in to be in that, sharper,
Okay.
Do you think there's a boundary that they shouldn't cross as fighters or as champions?
Well, I can't speak for him. I'm only gonna obviously assume that he doesn't really mean it. I think that he has to like psych himself out, psych the situation out, promote the fight. I don't honestly believe that he would be happy, despite what he might say, if he knew that he killed somebody.
Yeah.
My experience has been not to try to even avoid a situation because of just knowing how much more skilled that I am than others. Again, I'm not a professional boxer. I'm not licensed, just for the record, and for legal purposes. But I would say that there's no interest in fighting someone that hasn't trained to be a professional boxer just in itself.
Right.
So you're not going to feel good about hurting, let alone killing somebody in a boxing.
All right, so I'm gonna go a little bit more back to the legacy part with like Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson. We spoke about Michael Jackson versus Chris Brown. Do you think it's harder now for someone to make a legend of their name because of lack of information and footage of before? So it's like, let's say Mike Tyson had a certain amount of fights, right? Only certain amount is you have access to or footage of.
Yes.
Let's say we had access to all his fights, right? All the footage. And we seen that he wasn't that good of a boxer. He was a knockout artist. He got lucky in a certain stretch, right? Let's just say that, right? Let's say we had that kind of access to all artists or all of the biggest names of, basketball or any sport or, performer. Do you think it's harder now for like a new name to come up and someone to say, without hearing from someone from before, you're not going to be as good as Tyson? Like, let's say there's a guy named Bobby Bob. He's a new boxer. He's knocking people out,
Right.
like Tyson.
Yeah.
Do you think someone that was a Tyson fan and lived through Tyson would say, yeah, he's better than Tyson? Or a new basketball player, yeah, he's better than Jordan? Do you think it's harder now for someone to leave that imprint or legacy?
Well, that's a little bit impossible for me to really answer. And I know you're saying, let's say, and just for the viewers, I appreciate the viewers' comments, by the way, thank you. He's not saying Mike Tyson is just a knockout artist. He's saying, let's say, as a point to make, which Mike Tyson's training was absolutely insane. Meaning, it was some of the best training I've ever seen, as well as Floyd Mayweather. And unfortunately, we never got the opportunity to see Muhammad Ali's training. These guys are more than just knockout artists. These guys are some of the best boxers ever. And yes, we do know that there's some unknown boxers that never like really made any, I would say, public appearances, or not many, and they'll never get credit for being the best. But people are always going to have their opinions, and people are going to sometimes say this one's the best and that one's the best. We could only go off record. I would say Mike Tyson's had, for my information, he's had many fights before he was even recognized on TV. He's had many fights.
Yeah, many amateur fights.
Like, I don't think there's a lot of boxers that would have lasted that long in amateur fights to even get to the next level where he's actually became professional.
Yeah.
So I think Mike Tyson probably is one of the best boxers of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking away from anything from Muhammad Ali, because for all I know, he was the best too. It's really hard to measure.
Yeah, it's styles and people advancing. Like, I think with basketball now as a whole, a lot of me disagree with me. I think now, skill-wise and athletic-wise, basketball players are better now than before, especially all around. And I think even superstardom, a lot of people will disagree with me. But I think boxing is the same thing. Some people say, oh, well, once you're a boxer, you're a boxer. I think boxing has evolved, just like UFC is still evolving and will evolve.
Right.
For example, we'll use UFC. Some people are experts at jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, or whatever.
Grappling.
Right, grappling. So it's like now the stars that are rising in UFC are experts in everything.
Right.
There's only a certain amount of time you can put into a certain kind of fighting style.
Yeah.
But if you have someone, let's say you have 3 trainers that are good in all of those things.
Yes.
Instead of just one, 3 trainers that one is jiu-jitsu, one boxing, one kickboxing.
Right.
Let's say your trainer is good in all 3 of those, and you have 3 of them.
Right.
It's only gonna create somebody that's better than everything else. So think about that many categories within boxing, and it is that many categories of fighting in boxing. It's hard to take someone that's fighting now and match them against somebody that was fighting in the 70s and 60s. I think it's a lot more complicated than people put it out to be. And so a lot of people, and we'll use Wilder for example, they're saying he's the hardest hitter in history. It's hard to say that, it's hard to argue against it because there's not enough footage to say that he's the hardest heavyweight hitting boxer in history. My question is, how could you debate it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I make that statement? Can you even debate it?
I don't know. I definitely understand. As you evolve, you get better. Technology, for instance. If you're talking technology, I think it's going to be a really, really difficult argument for someone to say that the technology in the past is better than the technology now.
Right.
But when it comes to natural strength, and then skill,
Right.
strength sometimes could beat skill. Sometimes skill could beat strength.
Right.
Somebody that can hit harder against someone with technique, they might lose.
Right.
But if they connect, if they understand to take a couple of punches to connect properly, because in the past, there have been boxing matches where people have died in the ring. People literally died, and people hit hard. Also, I could say the eating, the diet was much more healthier than it is now.
Right.
People that eat plant, I would say, plant-based foods. That's one issue we've discussed many times. So you may eat better, you might eat, fruits and vegetables,
Right.
but we haven't discussed the fact that we eat more sugar now is probably even more dangerous than eating meat.
So what about the argument of technology? Let's say we know now that, like, let's say I know all the information I need to know for a nutritional diet to accommodate a boxer, right? What if we know exactly what to put in a boxer's body versus before we know how to balance the amount of protein and nutrition to make him better fit than before? You don't think that's possible?
Well, I believe that certain people are born stronger, no matter what.
I think Deontay Wilder looks like he's genetically modified. Like, he looks like he's designed to hit hard and move swiftly, which speed is very important in hitting.
I mean, you have a lot of factors. You definitely make a great dispute. Depending on what part of the world you're born, the altitude, the air you breathe, right, the food you eat, okay. It all has. You have to take all these different things into account. It's really, really hard to say.
I think it's the same thing with basketball as well. It is circumstantial. A lot of older people, not even older people, but fans of older basketball say that a lot of players now wouldn't be able to survive the climate of basketball before because of the physicality. But my argument against that would be they would adjust.
Oh,
At first
absolutely.
it'd be rough, but they would adjust.
Of course they will.
Skill set and athleticism now, I think would trump over. Just my opinion. Even as far as shooting and stamina and stuff. And a lot of people say, you know, before they play 48 minutes through in basketball, or boxers fought for hours, which is true if you don't know, look it up. Before the HBO days.
20 rounds plus.
Right.
Crazy stuff for people to even understand that now. But back then it was the norm. It was a normal thing. It was no big deal.
Right. So it's like, I don't know. My argument would be, I do think people could adjust. So my thing is, I look at it as intellectual. Maybe video games. We'll use a video game. Anyone that's playing a certain video game now that was playing it last year, the average player would be the best a year ago, you know?
Okay.
So I do believe that maybe be a slower pace in sports, like boxing or football or basketball. I think at a certain time, video game skill got real slow down, but even within a couple of months, the meta, right, or the average player is so much better than the best player a couple of months back. So I do think it slows down in physical limitation. And I do, like you said, the altitude and certain genetics and how people are raised does affect it. But I also think that now as a boxer, people know how to get hit now or dodge now or, you know, address certain injuries better. So it's like, that would be my argument against the player that played in the 80s or the boxer that fought in the 40s. So, I don't know, I really do stand behind that. Not in everything, but most things. Even swimmers breaking records constantly. We're advancing towards a better...
I get it.
I don't know. And then, like, let's say two athletes had, like Serena Williams, let's use Serena Williams and LeBron James. Let's say they had a baby. That baby would probably be the, you know, the craziest athlete.
That baby be a superhero. That baby be jumping over this gate right here.
So I think a lot of that stuff has to do with it, man. I think we're advancing in certain ways, and we're receding in other ways as well. But
I mean, you know,
like I said, I think the problem with it is a lot of people that grow up in a certain way, like, oh, no one could beat this person ever. No one could pass their legacy. They're a legend. I think that is a little iffy. I'm not gonna jump out the window and say J. Cole's the best rapper ever or Kendrick Lamar is the best rapper ever. But I'm not afraid to say if someone's skill seems to be better than previous rappers.
I I mean, I get what you're saying, and I feel that that's also a great thing. I think it's important for people, whether they're right, wrong, or whatever, to speak their opinion, and that's the bottom line. And you know what? If people don't agree, they don't agree. I'm pretty much over that. It doesn't bother me. People misunderstand things. They only hear what they hear. Some people think that there's experts. You have your PhD. You're an expert in that field. What I've learned is learning never stops, ever. You're always going to learn something different. Your perspective will always change, whether it's for the better or for the worse. You see things one way, and you're like, oh, I understand it. Oh, wow. Now I see it this way. You know, I think that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that. However, I think some people should actually listen more, and they'll understand a lot better than just hearing something they don't like, and then automatically their listening ears, they turn off. They start pondering things like, oh, whoa. He said, like for instance, we mentioned something about Donald Trump, for instance. And all we said was, and one of the major things that I did say about that was, he's trying to take credit for something. And I said that, and also, it's up to the people to decide ultimately whether they want to change things. Right. And in fact, if they got rid of vapes, which we were talking about, the cigarette companies that would just make more money. So you have to lobby as a people to get rid of whatever you want to get rid of, whether it's good or bad. Okay? Bottom line is, what are you doing?
That's a good question.
What are you doing? It's easy to criticize others about what they say, what they discuss, what they talk about. Verbal is one thing. What are you doing physically to change the situation? That is the real question.
So let's bring that back to responsibility. Like, let's say if someone has the dog, they gotta pick up the shit from the dog.
Yes.
Responsibility should go in cohesion with that as well. Like, if someone has something to say about it, if they're not gonna do anything about it, what's the point? So, I mean, maybe some people might call that like lighting the fire, or but at the same time, if you're not gonna do nothing about the negative thing you keep complaining about, it's no point in even saying anything at all. I'll use an example. Antonio Brown, right? He just got signed to the Patriots,
right,
11 days ago, and he got accused of rape. He got accused of rape, a couple months back, and the team that he was contracted to let him go, and the Patriots picked him up. 11 days into his contract, they dropped him because he got a second allegation, and they didn't really want to take that kind of heat and then have it affect the brand of the Patriots, which is kind of uncharacteristic of the NFL to do, even though the Patriots let him go. But I think it was pressure from the NFL. Instead of hearing the complaints of everybody went and tried to like pressure the NFL to let him go. Do you think voicing your complaint is enough to change things, or do you think it should be more action being taken and responsibility within someone's opinion?
Well, yeah, I think that people should, first off, people are going to feel what they feel. I think people should take into account that cause, and effect is a real thing. You say something, it could change situations around. And what I want to say is so we're clear, based on what you said, what are you willing to do? I'm just letting you know you can go lobby these things to change laws. I'm letting you know what you can do if you don't like something, by the way. So the answer, I'm giving you the answer. I'm not just talking about a problem. And I feel it's a problem the reason why we're speaking about it is because we're concerned with not just our lives, we're concerned with other people's lives. And we're saying that those vape things, it affects our health secondhand, right? And we don't know the effects yet because it's so fresh, right? So new. And we're saying it's killing people. And if we can get a handle on it early, maybe we can change. Because when there's a lot of money involved, it's a lot harder to change anything.
Right.
Okay? So in regards to, guns and cigarettes and etc., okay, we're speaking about something fresh. Right? So I just want that to be really clear. And you know what? I don't expect to necessarily please everyone. I'm just letting you know.
Big corporations are actually taking more responsibility for a lot of stuff. Like Walmart, they discontinued. Well, they didn't discontinue. They stopped selling e-cigarettes. And the AR-15s, they're made by a certain company. I forgot the name of them, but they're no longer making AR-15s. They say it's for other reasons, but I believe that it's a lot of political stuff behind it.
Of course.
But I also believe that they're actually taking responsibility from a lot of events and are getting ahead of it before it's no longer. It could be dangerous though. Who knows what's going on? But
right.
I think bigger corporations, like we even spoke about McDonald's, or even like cereal brands, changing everything to be a little bit more healthy. They're trying to get ahead of the healthy train, or get ahead of what we deem to be savagery. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Is it like a little bit scary that they're gonna control what we perceive to be healthy?
Well, it's definitely. See, this is the thing. It is dangerous because we're allowing other people to think for us. This is why self-education is more important than going to school. Because you're learning, you're researching, right? You're studying to see if someone teaches you something, how do you really learn it if you don't study it? If you don't, say, hey, you know what? 1 + 1 = 2. How do I know that? Okay, you go home and you write it down. You write down different things. 1 + 1, it can be 3. Why can't it be 3? You're studying to find out if the information is accurate. This is how you actually learn things, right? So you can just say, oh well, that's what they taught me in school. Really? Well, we have the internet, okay, and you can look something up like that. And you can look it up a lot of different ways. There's a lot of perspectives out there, and you can come to your conclusion. And again, you might evolve and change, and be like, oh yeah, I see it differently.
See, a lot of people learn things in school or hear like old folks tales and all that, and they go about that belief system for the rest of their lives. And I think it affects generations. Like a lot of people
absolutely
believe something that doctors believed at one point in time. They pass it on to their children, and scientifically even has been proven wrong. Or like, for example, eating carrots restores eyesight or makes you see better. A lot of people actually believe that, but it's actually been a lot of studies to show that actually that's not the case at all. So I'm not saying it's not the case, but what I'm saying is that's an example of something that I'm sure a lot of people have heard, and a lot of people to this day still believe. But again, that's not thinking for yourself, not doing the research for yourself. And I think that has a lot to do with the school system and education system. A lot of schools have been canceling like regions and stuff like that, and certain ways of testing students, because they're starting to realize that these schools aren't teaching you to teach or even teaching you to learn. They're just teaching you how to memorize. And I think that has a lot to do with you're grooming someone to learn how to memorize to do a specific job for the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
And that's not really getting smarter or educating, that's more like training. So I mean that's the real fear of big corporations. So they're like, yeah, we heard all that. We on it. Enough with the educating yourself.
I totally agree. I feel like that's exactly what the school systems are. They're just training people to work for other people. And I've only seen privileged people say over and over again how they quit corporations because all they do not from 9 to 5, by the way, it's more like from 7 to like 9 o'clock. And finance companies and firms, they have the option to just quit with all the degrees they have because they already have money. They're already in positions where they can just go back home and still live very comfortably, by the way. And they realize it's just, you're still in the rat race, and some people may not be familiar with that. You're just going in circles and circles and making other people richer and richer. And this is what's going on. Getting back to facts, most people would say that the oldest bridge in New York would be probably the Brooklyn Bridge. That is not true. Okay? So I can tell you right now, the oldest bridge in New York is High Bridge, which so happens to be in the Bronx, by the way.
That's crazy.
Right?
We're led to believe the Brooklyn Bridge.
Everybody probably from New York City to all over the world, the oldest bridge in New York City is supposedly be Brooklyn Bridge. That is not true.
That's interesting.
That is not true. It's the Bronx. It's going from the Bronx into Harlem or the Bronx into Manhattan. And a lot of people think that this is another thing that gets me. It's kind of funny. Fun facts. They would easily say, well, Manhattan is the only borough that's on an island. Not true. Staten Island, Queens, Brooklyn, they're all islands. The only borough is the Bronx that's on mainland, by the way. The other ones
make
are.
It seem like that.
That's correct. A lot of people will tell you because they heard, because somebody told them, well, to get to Manhattan, you got to take bridges to get there. Yeah, we know. And how do you get to Queens? And how do you get to Brooklyn? Same thing. How do you get into Staten Island? Same thing. So this is the questions that, common questions or certain thoughts that go through our heads, we can now research people. You do not have to just take someone's word for it or something you've been taught all your life.
So as a society, we could bring it back to responsibility, and we could teach our surrounding offspring or kin how to learn and self-educate.
Absolutely. Self-education is the only way anyone should go. Study thyself approval. Study thyself approval. This is the only way to actually learn anything.
Want to get into let go, let it go?
Sure.
I got one.
What you got?
It's pretty. A lot of people going against each other with it. They just came out with the new. Well, they didn't come out with it, but they just announced the new Rambo movie with Sylvester Stallone. It's supposed to be the last one. It's called Last Blood. The First Blood, but it's just Last Blood. Even the maker of the movie seen like 3 screenings of it, and he's like, he's with the Let It Go. Are you with Let Go or?
I have a lot of respect for Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. It was like Rocky 5 and then you have the new Rocky. First off, I love Rambo. I appreciate it, and I hope that if we could go back into time, that would be one of the movies no one ever touches, Rambo. But I think it's time to let it go.
Let it go?
I think it's time to let it go, and it's not because I feel that Sylvester Stallone is too old or anything like that. I just think that the storyline can't really, realistically, and intellectually, I think it would be insulting on that level for that storyline to work.
Alright, so I'm gonna go with Let's Go.
Why is that?
For the simple fact that just because exactly what you said, they already made the other movies after the first one, which they should have left alone.
Yeah.
It's like for the believability and physically and all of the things that you can argue, it's already past that point of realism.
Okay.
So if you guys gonna want to continue the ridiculous stories of the later Rambos, even though the first one was arguably a little bit, but I love the first movie.
Yeah.
Fuck it, just go for the gusto, man. Get ridiculous, man.
Well, yeah, I want to see the movie. I'm not, you know, when I first heard it, I was excited only because I love Rambo, right? And I will, I guess after we'll talk about Rambo. We'll
See
talk
how it
about
turns out. Yeah. The maker said he hated it. Sylvester Stallone is standing behind it. It might be good, and you know, but it might be fucking horrific. It might get diaper awards.
Hey, look. Rambo, look, you ain't doing nothing else. Why not make another Rambo? You can do it. You got the money. Do it. You know, and hopefully we'll enjoy it. Yeah. I love Rambo, right? So,
by the way, before we continue,
yes,
this is probably gonna wrap it up, right? I was gonna ask how you felt about the update on the iPhone. You got the iOS 13, right?
The iOS 13, I uploaded it 2 days ago?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I got the black screen. You could choose if you want the light or the black. I chose the black.
The toggling, right? That's
yeah,
fine.
and you can like make the letters a little bit more bigger. And, the camera quality is insane. Good job, Apple. You did a great job.
They're finally trying to like really stay in the game or stay on top of the phone industry.
Well, I did see the Galaxy camera, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But it's really hard for me, Galaxy, and respectfully, congratulations for being as successful as you are. More successful than I am, at least at this point in my life, right? But your home screen and your apps, the way they like all over the place, it just looks like, it reminds me of like a Sesame Street toy phone, right? Even if you mimic after Apple, just do it.
I see. I don't want them to mimic after Apple. I like.
Well, change it.
I like the complexity of Samsung. I do believe they're changing into that different.
Complexity.
Yeah, I like to pick it up and swerve through like I'm fucking hacking some shit. You know what I mean?
My
Like one of them old action movies.
Well, you know what? Hey, obviously they have a market for it because they're still selling phones and you love it.
Right. I mean, some people like the simplicity of doing what they want on the phone.
Okay.
And for the sake of argument, is, you know, it's simple. You get to where you want to go fast. But once you master the phone, it's kind of just like, hey, listen, this is what I want to do. I have more freedom and to making it look how I want.
Okay.
So again, man.
All right. Well,
until Apple presents that kind of freedom, which they're starting to do with the toggling and stuff, and I see that growth, but they still don't got the thing, man. So I'm gonna stick with my.
He wants the Apple Watch, guys. He wants it to wrap around.
I want a whole Yu-Gi-Oh dueling disc. I want some crazy thing that we don't need phones anymore.
I'm saying about 20 years or less, they're gonna have like 3D imaging watches anyway.
Infused in your body, right?
Well, not that I'm all
eyes,
for that.
Like Black Mirror.
I'm not all for that. Like glasses and, you know, and implants in the ear, so you just talk or whatever. I believe they already have that technology. I don't think that's anything, you know, any big deal.
I forgot to ask you.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, technology. I seen a little bit of a spoiler on Power. Please don't ruin it for me. But I heard certain things are starting to like come to a closing end. Are you? I'm not gonna say what the spoiler is. It's do with technology.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going in the right direction with Power ending?
They're doing a great job with it. I'm really happy that it's not like corny. I'm really happy about that. It has definitely progressed in a good way. It's going in a really smart way. I think it's unlike other shows. I think it's gonna set the trend of doing things right. And I believe 50 Cent has almost everything to do with that. And yes, you know, he has his producers and you know, writers. He has his writers. He has the actors, and It's a team effort. Um, but this was also his vision.
Yeah.
And he got the right people to help him to get to that level. And I would love to see spinoffs. I don't particularly like spinoffs
Right.
because we're kind of programmed to like just want to see the same actors and what have you. But I would say, I would say that Ghost. I think Ghost should be the next politician.
I don't know. I didn't watch the season yet. I'm still in the dark.
I have my own. As a writer, my way. I can see it being realistically in real life. I believe Ghost should graduate.
So he must have a crazy character development because the last episode from the last season,
Yeah.
Ghost was heading to one place. So I'm guessing there's some new developments within his character.
Well, they have not necessarily, and I could say necessarily. It's definitely possible. The door's open. I think Ghost should become the next politician. I think he should become the next borough president or mayor. And then I think he should move to. See, like realistically, these things do happen. People do progress, in real life. The presidents they were just, and I'm not saying they're not regular people now because they are, but they were just walking around and just going to the store and regular jobs.
So do you think, because I've been hearing the argument of Ghost being the antagonist of the story, do you think they're pushing him in that direction of no redemption? So it's like, if they do get rid of Ghost, which I really don't know nothing about this season, I really don't, that we're okay with that ending versus with Walter White when we were championing him when he was clearly an evil guy, but we still wanted him to survive.
Well, I would say yes. But I would say yes for probably different reasons why other people might think I'm saying yes to, or what they might say yes to. No. I'm going to say that, yes, I want to see the star of the show, what's going on in his life. First of all, I also want to say he has the acting ability to change. And I really like, and I would love the fact that, politicians, they got soldiers, what have you, police officers or whatever. How great will it be if he did his own dirty work? I'm just saying, I'm not saying that politicians are dirty, but there are real people that watch this that know how things really work in this world, right? I'm just gonna say that. And I would love to see him progress and see him on a different level, because we do got movies where, politicians are doing things, presidents are doing things, and I would love to see Ghost be on that level. And I think the possibilities is almost infinite to where, that's what I mean about stages. He's starting off in the streets, right? Then he's rubbing elbows with politicians and things are changing, and I think that's great. Versus just having a regular old show where you're like in this box, where they have to do spin-offs in order for the show to
graduate,
or for people to make money, because this is what it's about. It's about money.
Right. Alright. I hear the argument. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna watch the season.
Okay.
I'm gonna binge watch it in a day, and then we can definitely talk about it, how it wraps up. I know the spoilers are going to be unavoidable, so I'm going to watch all the episodes before the last episode. And we can definitely talk about it here and how it ends.
I mean, I just want to say this: if they kill Ghost off, I'm probably done with it. I'm not even. I'm done with it, and if I'll just pick up on another show. That's just me. But I wish 50 Cent all the best, and I really want to see him do other things. And I don't mind watching a new show that has like kind of nothing to do with the old show. Yeah. I'm more interested in that than,
We'll see what happens.
Okay? Yeah. So, thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Much love. And I'll see you again on David Talks.
Hey.